2,000 years ago, Marcus Aurelius stood at the pinnacle of power, holding the reins of one of the largest empires the world had ever seen. His influence stretched across millions of square miles, encompassing diverse peoples and cultures. As emperor, he not only governed an empire, but also had dominion over countless lives, shaping the fates of millions. His military command was unmatched, with the might of the Roman legions at his disposal. With such vast control, he could have indulged in luxury and excess, or fallen prey to the pressures and temptations that often come with great power. Yet, despite these possibilities, Marcus Aurelius chose a different path. One biographer captures this exceptional feat, noting how, despite the overwhelming stress of his position, he not only shouldered his immense responsibilities, but did so with unwavering honor. Remarkably, he resisted the corrupting influence of power and maintained his integrity, a testament to his profound self-discipline and wisdom. So, what was the key to his remarkable resilience? What did a day in the life of this extraordinary leader truly look like? How did Marcus Aurelius navigate the immense weight of his responsibilities, staying grounded in his values while managing an empire? Fortunately, we can gain a rare glimpse into his inner world through Meditations, a collection of personal reflections and philosophical musings that Marcus wrote for himself during his reign. These writings offer us a window into the mind of a ruler who, despite holding unparalleled power, remained committed to his principles and the pursuit of virtue. Today, we'll delve into the daily routine of Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king, and explore how his philosophy shaped his approach to leadership and life. Like anyone else, Marcus Aurelius's day began in the quiet of the morning hours. However, unlike many, he made a deliberate effort to wake up early, seeing it as an essential practice rather than something that came naturally to him. In Meditations, he reflects on the internal struggle of getting out of bed, especially when the warmth of sleep tempted him to stay under the covers. When those moments of laziness crept in, he would remind himself of his greater purpose. I must get to work as a human being. Was I born for comfort? To remain curled up in bed, seeking pleasure? It's tempting, but was that my true calling? With this internal dialogue, Marcus Aurelius conquered the temptation to sleep in. His mornings were not just about rising early, they were about setting a tone for the day. He attacked the dawn with intentionality, beginning his routine with a conscious choice to prioritize discipline over comfort. This commitment to doing what was necessary, rather than what was easy, shaped his entire approach to life. We can imagine his mornings filled with meditative reflection, philosophical study, writing, and journaling. These practices allowed him to center his mind, preparing for the challenges of the day. Whether dealing with requests, political demands, or the harsh realities of war, Marcus used his early hours to cultivate stillness and clarity, ensuring he was mentally prepared for whatever the day might bring. One of Marcus Aurelius's key practices in the morning was avoiding distractions. In a world where many of us reach for our phones or dive straight into our overflowing to-do lists as soon as we wake up, Marcus took a different approach. He saw the early hours as a sacred time for intentional reflection and preparation, rather than letting external stimuli dictate his mindset. His goal was to achieve ataraxia, a state of inner tranquility, free from the disturbances that could easily arise throughout the day. Rather than reacting impulsively to the demands of his role, Marcus consciously prepared himself to face whatever challenges might arise. In Meditations, Marcus offers a powerful insight into how he approached his mornings. In Book 2, he writes, "When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly." This wasn't a negative or bitter view of humanity, but a realistic framework for dealing with the complexities of human nature. By anticipating the flaws and difficulties in others, he was better equipped to approach each encounter with patience, understanding, and resolve. Additionally, Marcus practiced premeditation, a stoic exercise in mentally preparing for challenges before they arose. He believed in preparing for inevitable difficulties rather than fantasizing about a perfect day. This technique is rooted in the wisdom of the Stoics, who emphasized resilience through expectation. As Seneca wisely noted, the unexpected blow lands heaviest. By expecting challenges and embracing them as part of life, Marcus set himself up to face adversity with strength and composure. Marcus Aurelius was keenly aware of the importance of managing his temper and his judgments about others. Rather than succumbing to frustration or dismissing people who were difficult to work with, he reminded himself to focus on finding the good in others. His approach was rooted in a deep understanding of his role in relation to those around him. Instead of reacting emotionally, he sought to respond with patience and clarity, always maintaining composure in the face of challenging interactions. This mindset allowed him to manage his relationships and responsibilities effectively, no matter how demanding his duties became. Work was, without question, a central aspect of Marcus's daily routine. As emperor, he had unparalleled responsibilities that he took with the utmost seriousness. His commitment to these duties was evident in his practice of rigorous focus and discipline. He reminded himself to concentrate on your tasks like a Roman, underscoring the importance of dedication and perseverance. Drawing inspiration from his stepfather and predecessor, Antoninus Pius, Marcus planned his days with meticulous care. Every moment was accounted for, even the smallest details like bathroom breaks, to ensure no time was wasted. This strategic approach helped him manage the vastness of his empire efficiently, demonstrating a sharp sense of purpose. Complaining, for Marcus, had no place in his mindset. He believed in approaching his responsibilities without indulging in self-pity or frustration. As he wrote, "Never be overheard complaining at court, not even to yourself." For Marcus, the focus was always on identifying what needed to be done, embracing those tasks fully, and executing them with excellence. This stoic mindset allowed him to handle the immense pressures of leadership without losing his sense of purpose or virtue. This glimpse into the life of Marcus Aurelius reveals how the philosopher king balanced extraordinary power and responsibility with unwavering discipline, self-reflection, and a deep commitment to virtue. His morning routine and stoic principles offer timeless lessons for anyone striving to lead a purposeful and productive life, reminding us that true leadership is built not on privilege, but on the constant practice of integrity, focus, and resilience. Marcus Aurelius faced an endless stream of demands, hearing cases, addressing crowds, traveling across vast distances, and even leading troops into battle. Despite the enormity of his responsibilities, he emphasized the importance of maintaining focus and mental discipline. He advised his readers to get used to winnowing their thoughts, urging them that if anyone were to ask what they were thinking at any given moment, they should be able to answer clearly and without hesitation. This philosophy aligns closely with the modern concept of deep work, a term coined by Cal Newport to describe the ability to focus intensely on a single task without distraction. For Marcus, this ability to concentrate fully was a cornerstone of both his work ethic and his philosophical beliefs. His Stoic principles taught him that mental clarity and focused effort were essential for handling the immense challenges of his role. Imagine Marcus being constantly pulled into important meetings with advisors, officials, and ambassadors, or being briefed on military strategies. From his predecessor, Antoninus Pius, he learned the value of yielding the floor to experts, carefully listening to differing opinions, and embracing constructive feedback. Marcus did not view correction as a personal affront, but as a favor, understanding that the real harm came from persisting in error. Even amidst the overwhelming demands of leadership, he managed to preserve the right mindset, consistently balancing his work obligations with moments of introspection and self-discipline. Yet, Marcus Aurelius was far from consumed entirely by his imperial duties. He warned against the pitfall of excessive busyness and meditations, stressing that physical exercise and engagement with nature were just as essential to his well-being. He enjoyed various physical activities, including boxing, wrestling, hunting, and horseback riding. Moreover, his reflections on nature reveal a profound connection to the world around him, whether it was the bending grain weighed down by its own abundance or the foam on a boar's mouth. For Marcus, the natural world wasn't just a backdrop for life. It was a sacred space, a temple of the gods, offering a sense of renewal and spiritual grounding. Unlike many of his Roman contemporaries, Marcus had little appetite for the bloodshed of the Colosseum. Although his imperial duties occasionally required him to attend such events, he would often retreat mentally, immersing himself in philosophical thought or reading. For Marcus, retreat was not about physical distance but an inward journey. He sought peace in philosophy, especially in the works of figures like Aeschylus, Homer, Cleanthes, Zeno, and Epictetus. One of his favored rituals for cleansing himself from the chaos of public life was visiting the baths, which held cultural significance in Rome. He often used these moments for personal reflection, washing away the dirt of the world, both figuratively and literally. Balancing the demands of work with relaxation was vital to Marcus's routine. His regimen involved exercise at the gymnasia, followed by visits to the baths for a cold plunge or a hot soak, rituals that helped him refresh both his body and mind. Some of his meditations may have been written during his time at Aquincum, a Roman camp near modern-day Budapest, where he likely took advantage of local hot springs. These practices were not just for relaxation, but for mental fortitude, preparing him to face the stresses and responsibilities of his reign with renewed clarity. Marcus Aurelius's reign was marked by constant challenges that would have overwhelmed even the most resilient of leaders. His time on the throne saw devastating floods, the Antonine Plague, wars, invasions, coups, and deep personal tragedies. Ancient historians often noted that Marcus did not experience the good fortune his position might suggest, with his rule continually overshadowed by hardship. The stress must have been unimaginable, yet Marcus bore this weight with unwavering resolve, believing that it was his duty to persevere for the sake of the people who depended on him. To cope with these pressures, Marcus relied heavily on journaling and the principles of Stoicism. These practices allowed him to maintain a sense of calm and clarity, keeping destructive emotions at bay. When faced with obstacles, he didn't react impulsively, but instead saw them as opportunities to practice virtue. A notable example is his response to betrayal by his trusted general, Avidius Cassius. Rather than retaliating immediately, Marcus took time to reflect, seeing the crisis as a chance to demonstrate how a nation could navigate internal strife with dignity and restraint. This response exemplified his belief that the best revenge is not to be like that, a sentiment expressed throughout his writings and meditations. In every moment, Marcus Aurelius strove to act with virtue, decency, and integrity. Whether in small daily decisions or larger, more complex events, he viewed every experience as a chance to practice self-control and Stoic values. Beyond his political duties, Marcus also found time for intellectual and physical pursuits that contributed to his personal growth and ability to lead. His dedication to learning was evident in the letters he wrote to his mentor, Cornelius Fronto, and his debates with other philosophers like Rusticus. He didn't read casually but engaged deeply with the texts, quoting thinkers such as Epictetus and Zeno from memory, and carefully processing their ideas. Each day, Marcus engaged in a ritual of self-reflection, much like the practice described by Seneca. In the quiet of the evening, he would review his actions, holding himself accountable for both successes and failures. This practice of self-interrogation was central to his personal philosophy. With no one else to judge him directly and no immediate consequences for his actions, Marcus relied on his philosophy as his ultimate accountability system. He reminded himself daily to strive toward the person that philosophy sought to shape him into, knowing that true progress came from within. The Stoic practice of memento mori, the reflection on mortality, was another key component of Marcus's routine. He often reminded himself of the fleeting nature of life, emphasizing the importance of being present and appreciating the time he had. He even wrote to Fronto about how he would trade all his imperial power for more time with his wife, reflecting on the brevity of life and the inevitability of death. These reminders of mortality encouraged him to savor each moment with his loved ones and live intentionally, knowing that time was his most valuable resource. Despite being surrounded by wealth, power, and the trappings of imperial grandeur, Marcus Aurelius fought against the allure of these superficial distractions. He warned himself not to become Caesarified, resisting the temptation to let power or luxury corrupt him. He viewed the opulent feasts, honors, and treasures bestowed upon him as insignificant, mere symbols of a fleeting world. To Marcus, they were nothing more than a dead pig, a rock pulled from a mine, or a piece of metal. Reminders that the true value of life lies not in material wealth, but in the cultivation of virtue, wisdom, and inner peace. Marcus Aurelius worked diligently to maintain humility, often grounding himself by zooming out and gaining perspective on his extraordinary life. Living as the emperor of the most powerful empire in the world, he was surrounded by a constant flow of power, praise, and wealth. Yet, he resisted the temptation to be consumed by his own ego. Part of his Stoic practice involved seeing the broader picture. He reflected on how an army, which might seem powerful and intimidating up close, appeared merely as a swarm of ants from a distance. This habit of widening his view helped him keep his sense of humility intact and align his priorities with his deepest values. In the evening, Marcus would likely review his day, contemplating whether his actions were in line with his philosophical principles and whether he had lived with purpose. This habit of self-reflection kept him grounded, ensuring that he didn't lose sight of what truly mattered in the midst of his immense responsibilities. A significant part of Marcus's self-reflection involved grappling with the concept of death. He frequently questioned why he feared death and what he truly desired from life. In Meditations, he wrote, "Am I afraid of death because I won't be able to do this anymore?" For Marcus, the paradox of time was clear. We deeply value it, yet often squander it. The Stoic teachings emphasize that death is not a distant, abstract event, but an ever-present reality. Marcus believed that we should live each day with intention, knowing that time is a precious and limited resource. His reflections on mortality were not meant to instill fear, but to encourage living fully in each moment, without taking time for granted. In essence, death was not something to dread, but a reminder to live with purpose. Marcus also viewed the passage of time itself as a form of dying. Each day, he would ask himself, "What do I have to show for today?" If this were his last day, he would reflect on whether he had lived it well. He approached sleep not as an escape from life, but as a potential second chance. If he awoke the next day, it would be an opportunity to improve, grow, and do better. This perspective helped him live intentionally, never assuming he had unlimited time. For Marcus, introspection was a way of acknowledging the impermanence of life, encouraging constant growth and self-improvement. While Marcus Aurelius's life might seem distant and even unrelatable to us, he was, after all, the most powerful man in the world 2,000 years ago, living a life completely removed from our modern experience. The themes of his reflections are timeless. In his Meditations, we see a man struggling with the same questions, doubts, and challenges we face today. Despite the vast differences in our circumstances, human nature remains fundamentally the same across time. From Marcus, we can draw valuable lessons on how to live a life of purpose, how to find meaning in the face of power, and how to cultivate self-discipline. His practices of daily reflection, humility, and intentional living are as relevant now as they were then. After his philosophical reflections, Marcus's day would come to a close. In a world that often glorifies the hustle of waking early and making the most of each moment, Marcus understood that rest was just as crucial. His philosophy of disciplined living extended to his sleep habits as well. While he may have struggled with insomnia due to the immense stress and health issues he faced, he still understood the importance of rest. Sleep, like other aspects of life, needed to be protected to ensure that the mind and body remained functional. Neglecting rest, as modern habits like late-night phone scrolling suggest, can undermine productivity the next day. Marcus's efforts to prioritize self-care and rest, despite his challenges, remind us of the necessity of maintaining balance in our own routines, ensuring that health and well-being are never overlooked.